We're asking him various questions. Los mantras se cantan de forma monótona. Jay Sri Radheshyam, and welcome back. In the previous episode, we spoke about Jiva Tattva, and the ideas behind the origin of the Jiva by Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda explained clearly on his writings the origin and the different kind of Jivas. And today we will continue this lecture, helping with this to truly understand the bottom line of what Jiva Tattva is from the perspective of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, for the ones who are following Bhaktivinoda Thakur as one of their, or the originator of their parivar, to say, Gaudiya Mat ISKCON. But this is also important for the followers of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, the Gaudiya Sampradaya coming from Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu and the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur, after all his journey on the Bhakti path, he took shelter finally from the line of Nityananda Parivar. His guru, Vipin Goswami, belonging to Nityananda Parivar, gave the entrance to Bhaktivinoda Thakur to the sacred and eternal family of Nityananda Ram. Then his writings in somehow are also important for us, at least to have a basic knowledge of what he really wrote, what he think and what is not. To separate water from oil, we must too know exactly what the acharyas, the writers, have been speaking about, writing about. So we continue today. Namaste Gurudevaya Sarvasiddhi Pradayine Sarvamagala Rupaya Sarvananda Vidyayine. Previously, thus, the Lord, in other aspect of his variegated lila, incarnates within the material energy to teach. As the culmination of that form of lila, the Lord comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and teaches the fallen jivas the highest destination possible, the attainment of Mahabhav in the mood of the gopis. Bhaktivinoda Thakur continue. Brajanatha, why does the Lord give trouble to the jiva for the sake of his lila? This is the normal question I have many times from people who is even inside already of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, on following Vaishnavism, but many people from outside of this philosophy, they ask, so why God create pain? Why he just simple don't make the world perfect and happy? Why we must to be crossing all these troubles? For what? So this is the question that Brajanatha is doing right now, and let's hear what Babaji have to say, the answer. Brajanath, why does the Lord give trouble to the jivas for the sake of his lila? Babaji, the quality of free will in the jiva is a special mercy of the Lord on them, because an inner object without free will is very insignificant. Because of this independence, the jiva gains lordship over the inner material world. Misery and happiness are states of mind. What we consider misery, a person attached to it considers happiness. The end result of all types of material happiness is misery and nothing else. A man attached to sense gratification ultimately attains misery. When this misery increases, then it gives rise to the desire of happiness. This desire leads to discrimination, which brings inquisitiveness. Because of inquisitiveness, one attains the association of saints, which gives rise to faith. By faith, one ascends the path of progression. Just as gold is purified by heating it in fire and beating it with a hammer, in the same way the jiva who is affected with the contaminations of sense enjoyment and non-devotion to Krishna is purified by putting him on the anvil of the material world and beating him with the hammer of miseries. The misery of the conditioned souls, jiva, ultimately brings him pleasure. The misery is an instance of the Lord's mercy. Therefore, the misery that befalls jivas as part of Krishna's lila appears auspicious to the far-sighted and miserable to the short-sighted. In other words, what we see here is that pain and pleasure are the same when we are inside the material world. To say, the pain of animals is pleasure for the ones who eat the animals. The pain of coming to this world, the birth of our own bodies, is painful. I don't know any baby, and if you know an example, please send me link, video, or text. And I don't know any example of a baby who is born and is born smiling and happy, maybe chanting or dancing. No, we are coming covered in blood, screaming. It's really not a happy moment, but for the father and mother, this is happiness. And this birth is coming out of the pleasure of father and mother previously, 9 months, yes? So actually happiness and pain or suffering are kind of the same inside the material world. Sometimes we see auspiciousness on things that are absolutely non-auspicious, and we see non-auspicious things as from things that are absolutely auspicious. Everybody fear Shani Acharya, right? Shani Dev, everybody fears him, but actually Shani Dev is only doing his perfect service to Swayam Bhagavan by giving reactions of positive and negative karma. So everything indeed has been created or is happening as a path to God realization. Brahmagyan, Krishna consciousness, as you wish to call it. But if we see really the 99% of the world population learn lessons, if they learn any lesson, they learn from the suffering and punishment and problems. The countries get together when a big earthquake or tsunami beat them. Before that, people is absolutely in a tamaguna state, sleeping, absolutely sleeping, a complete ignorance state. But when some big catastrophe is coming, sadly, in that moment, people awake a little bit and they realize what they are doing with the planet, with the nature, with the neighbors. The neighbors get together. Many countries who have been crossing extremely poverty or extremely hard times, economical times, the population, the neighbors get together, they start cooking together, they start meeting each other, helping each other. Why this doesn't happen when you are rich and when you have everything set up? Advanced countries, economically and culturally, as the Scandinavian countries where I live for over 20 years, people don't know even who is the neighbor. If you need help, you will never call anybody, not even family members. You have some money, you will pay, that's it. You don't mess, you don't mix, you don't care about what is happening with the person just in front of you. So this is part of what we are understanding. I am just trying to give examples to understand how pain and happiness on material world are exactly the same. But we are trying to find out what is the supreme happiness, the real happiness, para happiness, let's say, Dharma. And from Dharma to para Dharma. So this is what we are studying here. The Lord's material energy is inert. No pleasure results from lila with inert matter, because an inert matter, because an inert object without free will is very insignificant. The jivas, owing to their free will, attempt to lord it over matter, and the duality of misery and happiness is set in motion. This is really a state of mind, but ultimately the sense of misery leads the jiva to inquire about happiness. So misery has an important function. It serves as impetus for the weak jivas to take to spiritual life and become strong. The end result of material happiness is misery, and the end result of misery, spanning many lifetimes, bahunam janmanam ante, is the happiness of Krishna consciousness. In this way, all aspects of lila are possible for the Lord, who is by nature lila maya. Srila Bhaktivinoda continues, Brajanath, the misery in the conditioned state is ultimately auspicious, yet it is painful at present. Was it not possible for the omnipotent Lord to find some other solution to this miserable process? Babaji, Krishna Lila is very wonderful and of myriad types. This is also one type of astonishing Lila. The supremely independent Lord performs all types of Lila. Why would he not perform this type of Lila? To maintain all varieties, no Lila can be abandoned. Besides, even if some other type of Lila is performed, the instruments, jivas, of that Lila have to accept some form of trouble. Lord Krishna is a person, Purush, and an agent. All instruments, jivas, are under the will of the Purush. They are objects, or in other words, that which is acted upon by the Purush, whereas the Purush is the agent, or he who acts. Being under the will of an agent, it is natural that they will experience some misery. If that misery is ultimately pleasurable, however, then it is not misery. Why Krishna's Lila is supremely blissful to the jiva, abandoning the pleasure aspect of Lord Krishna, the jiva who has free will has accepted the misery, which comes as a result of absorption in Maya. If anyone is to be blamed, then that is jiva, not Krishna. Interesting paragraph here. I would like to add something because we are doing a critical study. We are trying to get to the bottom line, to the cream of this book study. And I think these paragraphs that we are studying from Bhaktivinoda Thakur between Brajanath and Babaji are leaking one thing, are missing something. Do you realize what is it? Actually, until now, I see the pages and we don't have the Prana. These answers and ideas are wonderful, but on what are these ideas based on? I cannot find Bhagavatam or Puranams or Vedas or something that will explain where is this. Anyways, this is the main understanding on what is this material world, pleasure, happiness, jiva, jiva tattva, etc. Let's continue. The unlimited and omnipotent Lord will be limited and impotent if he did not perform all varieties of lila, and he will not be supremely independent. The jiva are like the subject that are ruled by the king, the agent. Their independence is minute, not absolute. they are under the will of the Lord, and being under another's will, it is natural that one has misery. However, because this misery leads to pleasure, it gives not to be taken as misery, and in any event, the choice is always open to the living entity to reject lording it over matter and accept the pleasure aspect of the Lord, although he has never been in the Nitya Lila of the Lord, and although he has been in the Lord's material Lila from a time without beginning, Anadi. The choice to be in material consciousness or spiritual consciousness is made by the jiva. Hence, the jiva alone is responsible for being in the bondage of karma in the material world. After this, Brajanath poses another question. If the jiva had not been given independence, what would have been the loss? Babaji explains that free will is the inherent quality of the jiva. Without it, the jiva will become as worthless, as insignificant as inert matter. The cause of suffering is misuse of this free will, but the Lord, out of mercy, comes to protect the jiva and manifest his wonderful pastimes in the material world. Even then, the jiva is unable to understand the Lord's pastimes. Then the Lord descends in Sri Navadvip and personally explains his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. He also teaches others by his own example. Then how can such a merciful Lord be blamed? It is the jiva's stupidity that he does not pay heed to the Lord's teachings. Therefore, to rectify his mistake, Maya punishes him. To forget that I am an eternal servant of Krishna is the mistake on the part of the jiva. Again, readers should keep in mind that this forgetfulness of the jiva is beginningless, and thus the Lord is not to be blamed. Although he is beginningless, the jiva is not inert. He is conscious and does not have to remain in his ignorant condition. He can choose to get out of this miserable condition. I want to add to this an important point. I have been meditating long time on this. Indeed, this meditation has been taking me about 15 or 16 years until I get the realization of what really is going on. Because the Jiva Tattva and this thing about pain is kind of senseless. Honestly, I understand what the book is saying, what the writer is explaining, what Bhaktivinoda is explaining, but still, if we think why we should have pain, why he must to make us suffer, why he just don't make us happy? This is the normal question that is coming out. But if you think the very words of Krishna on Bhagavad Gita say that the soul cannot be burned by fire, cannot be wet by water, cannot be cut, cannot be killed. So in somehow, if you study another great grant that is not exactly Gaudiya but is profound as the ocean, it's called Avaduta Gita, then there you will find some interesting things that connect so much with Bhagavad Gita. And one of those things said that actually me as a living entity, as a soul, I never had a body. I never feel pain. I never had karma. I was never born. I will never die. This is one verse on Avaduta Gita that when I read it, tears came from my eyes. Just by reading this so supreme and deep tattva was there. And it revived all those shlokas of Krishna regarding to Jiva Tattva, who we really are. And then I realized, yes, the one who is suffering and feeling pleasure on this world is only the ego. Because actually the soul has not any nature connected to material reality. The soul is transcendental, material reality is transient, transitory. The soul cannot feel pain on that way. The soul cannot be punished. It's not possible. So, to give an example on how this works, and I think this is crystal clear, how this works is this. you go as an actor, and it's your minute of action in the theater. You go to the stage, and you go to the stage not as you are, but you put a special dress, long hair maybe different color of hair, maybe you put glasses, or maybe you transform yourself in a character that fit with the theater show, with the plot, right? So you go to a stage and you get a name, different name, some history possible is coming with your character, and you act this theater, right? And in the theater, maybe you are happy or maybe you are suffering. Normally theater, operas and others are about drama, so love, pain, suffering, poverty, and all this kind of basic nature of humankind will come up on a great work. So you will suffer and you will cry, right? Everybody will see you crying, suffering. People will feel pain and anger out of what is happening, injustice or justice, and everybody will be happy, like in a movie. Same actors, yes? Same actor do different roles. But when the show ends, the actor just pack his stuff, take the makeup out, all the costume out, he put his real clothes and go home. Does really the actor is crossing such a hard time? No, it's just the show, it's an action, it's a theater, it's a character. And this is exactly what is happening with the material happiness and material pain. It's just a character, and the director of the theater is Krishna. And different things are happening, and there is karma, but everything is a big theater. Indeed, it's not that serious. After all, when you really wake up, when you awake your real consciousness, you see that everything has been a wonderful show on this beautiful stage called Bhumandal, the disc of Mother Earth, this platform. Let's continue. In other words, the unalloyed devotee makes no distinction between the spiritual world and the material world, even if one argues that his being here is beginningless, and therefore he could not have had any choice in the matter of whether he wanted to be in the limited potency or unlimited potency of the Lord's Lila. The fact remains that the decision to lord it over the limited potency is entirely his. The conditioned jiva always had the choice either to look towards Maya or towards the Lord. The jiva therefore is always situated in the tatastha condition. Once he reached the spiritual sky, however, having attained the shelter of the internal potency of the Lord, he never comes back to Maya. Now he has joined the eternal Lila of the Lord in his unlimited potency, which is never created or destroyed, and those who have never been to the material world never fell because they have the protection of the Shakti. This is all very consistent with the passages quoted from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who says that the Lord has diverse leelas in which he engaged his energy, and this is but one of his many varieties of leelas. Readers should also take note that in both Srila Bhaktivinoda's and Srila Prabhupada's definitive explanations of the nature of the Lord and the bondage of the jiva, both are in agreement, and in both cases there is not mention of souls falling from Vaikuntha. If anyone doubts that this is the definitive description of the Siddhanta, readers should take note of the concluding sentence in the passage from Srila Prabhupada, and is quoting his Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta Swami's words. This is the perfect philosophical understanding of the absolute truth. Early in the same purport, before the part that is quoted, he wrote, "This is pure philosophical understanding. Such conclusive statements leave no room for doubt that in this purport Srila Prabhupada laid bare the Siddhanta. And if someone says that it does not deal with the Jiva issue, we have to point out that he does raise the question, why is there a need to create the spiritual sparks, and answers it." Chapter 2. More from the teachings of Srila Bhaktivinoda. In the first chapter, we mentioned that Srila Bhaktivinoda gave a novel explanation of the word anadi. In Jaiva Dharma, chapter 16, Bhaktivinoda Thakur defines the meaning of anadi karma. The root of all karma is the desire to act, and that has its root in avidya. What is avidya? The bad quality of no seeing, or ignorance. Also can be translated avidya as ignorance. To forget that I am the servant of Krishna is avidya. This avidya is not born in material time. It arises at the tatastha region. Therefore, karma has no beginning in material time. For this reason, karma is called anadi. Some people take this definition of anadi as an indication of the fall down of the jiva, thinking that if karma did not begin in material time, it must begin in spiritual time. But this is impossible. It surely cannot have a beginning in spiritual time because, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, every event in the spiritual world is eternal. Chapter 15. Shik Jagatera Kala Akhanda Rupe Nitya Vartamana. Furthermore, in the spiritual world, material time is conscious by its absence. As Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati writes, Brahma Samhita 56, I worship that transcendental seat known as Svetadvipa, where there is eternal existence of transcendental time, who is ever present and without past or future, and hence is not subject to the quality of passing away even for the duration of half a moment. If karma had a beginning in the spiritual world, it will never come to an end, but all Vedic philosophers agree that karma comes to an end at the point of liberation. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur say that avidya, the root of karma, arose at the Tatastha region, not in Vaikuntha. We leave it to the sagacious reader to figure it out, the whereabouts of the Tatastha region. In any case, it is no Vaikuntha. Tatastha region is not Vaikuntha, alright? Many times Tatastha region is explained as the aura of Krishna, of the body of Narayan, to say. And karma, if karma will be produced on Vaikuntha, then karma will be eternal, because the very nature of Vaikuntha is eternal. Then anything produced in Vaikuntha is eternal. Therefore, karma will not have an end if it will be created in Vaikuntha. But where karma is created is inside the material world, actually. Karma is material and karma is eternal. That is the big, I think, mistake or misunderstanding on this matter. And I will try to explain it the best way that I can. Material reality, the material expansion, creation, and the spiritual realm, both are eternal, but the spiritual realm always stays as it is, while the material nature, that is called anadi, so without a beginning, material nature, anadi, without a beginning, is always changing. Always changing. You can see this example as anything that you have. For example, now you have a mobile phone, okay? The mobile phone is now, but the mobile phone, what is it? I can take this part out and this part out now is a protector only. It's not part of the mobile phone. Okay, I take this out. If I want to go deeper on this, I can take the glass of the phone, and the glass is not the mobile phone. The glass is only the glass, right? Glass, I have glass in my screen, I have glass in the lens of my camera, I have glass on the windows, glass in the cup that I drink water, glass, all right? Glass is not a mobile phone, so you start taking everything apart. Inside there are some circuits inside this phone, right? Those circuits has some copper or gold for good connection. The best transmission of electric impulse is through gold or copper. Copper is the second class and gold is first class. So if I start taking everything out, right, you will find out that I will have like a bunch of different elements that all mixed together have been creating a phone. But the phone, indeed, if you separate the elements, you will see all different elements, right? The same with our body. Our body are created of 5 elements and working on 3 gunas. This create our body, right? But if I take all the elements separate, you will have fire, air, water, earth, akash, right? The 3 gunas separate. So where is the body actually? The body disappear, absolutely disappear. Elements go on themselves. It does not mean that this body or these elements or the material world has a beginning or an ending. The nature of the material world is that it's always changing, ever changing. So what is karma now is a creation of different elements that we create with our mind and with our actions. So even if you don't do an action, if you are thinking bad on somebody or something, this is creating karma. If you act, this creates karma. Everything is creating karma, but the karma is exactly that. It's a connection of different elements that get together and belongs to you because you are creating it, right? So karma comes together and it gives shapes to your lifespan here on this body. But this karma, as it gets together, is start existing with my actions and thoughts. In one moment also this karma will start vanishing. All the elements that create the karma, all the elements that create this karma will start dissolving, and they will go to their original state. Akash, air, water, fire, etc. So the karma is dissolved. And when karma is dissolved, you are in liberation, mukti. But the elements, the energy is still moving. Scientists have been discovering that the sound is eternally reverberating all over the universe. Indeed, there is one technique in spiritism or paranormal studies that is to use tape recordings. They put tape recordings on old church, for example, old houses where something happened. And those tape recordings, all tape recordings, not digital. With digital doesn't work. It must work with analog technology. For some reason, maybe because it's natural material, microphones, natural, all organic materials, maybe it connects in a better way. But what they do, they put this tape recording in places and they keep recording for 24 hours. And they change the tapes, put new tapes, keep recording, and they record for 1 week, 1 month, or maybe more. And after they study all those tapes, and they can find out voices. Many times they find out voices and things related, audios related to the place where this house or church was used or inhabited. Many of those recordings, of course, online are just fake, but they are real ones. I have been experimenting this many years ago. I was through this kind of studies, and I experiment things like this that are not having a logical explanation. So the science also say the same. The sound is reverberating eternally. Maybe we cannot hear them, but they will be always sounding. The sound does not disappear, this frequency. That's why everything that we say from today on, I asked you, from today on, everything you say must to be truth. And if you have no conversation going on, just repeat the name of Hari in loud voice, and your mantra in a loud voice also can be. Mantra always counting, Harinam, names of Hari, always you can say in any time, no restriction. As the Vedas said, as Kali Santarana Upanishad said, as Sri Gauranga explained. Harinam, you can say, you go driving, walking, Mahamantra Japa, no. But Harinam, you can walk, drive, cook, you can do anything, go shopping, and you do in your mind, Krishna, 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 Krishna. Radha, 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 Radha. You can repeat, no restriction. Name of Hari, no restriction. You can repeat them. Because this frequency that you are creating today, that you decide to create today, will be eternally moving around the universe, inside the universe, right? So you have been creating this sound, mystical, spiritual sound, because Hari Nam is the same than Hari itself. Then you are bringing God directly here. You are working on this like a radio who is taking the signal from the spiritual realm and put it inside the material realm. So this signal sooner or later will come to you always, or will come to anybody else. This signal, this sound, this echo, galactic echo. Let's do 10 seconds of Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Would you like to do this game with me? Spiritual game. Let's bring Krishna name everywhere. 10 seconds, 3, 2, 1. Krishna, 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 Krishna. So the sound will change and will move as all the energies change and move, but they don't disappear as energies. Material world is eternal, but is transitory, is changing. Does not mean that it has a beginning and an end. It will always be moving. And the time of the supreme dissolution of the universe, everything will go back to Bhagavan and then will be expand. The same energy will be expand as the jivas. Let's keep studying chapter 2 in the next episode. I hope you enjoy. I hope you learn something new. I hope you have fun with this reading. Thank you very much for watching. Do what is correct. You know what is correct. Subscribe. Bhajan Nitai Gaur Radheshyam Japo Hare Krishna Hare Ram Sri Gurudev Ki Jai. Jai Nitai Jai Gaur Jai Jai Sri Radheshyam. Hasta la próxima, amigos. See you in the next. Asking him various questions. Los mantras se cantan de forma